Was he crying at him?
Yeah, you could pretty much feel the mood, and you could cut it with a knife. Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, it was. You know, from my first experience being there at the coach's press conference, from what I understand, it was briefer than any other press conference he had this year, and more emotional, and almost. I mean, you could see it on his.
Sorry, Mikal. I am for real.
It was really bad, man. Like the guy was a defensive, staple for the Celtics. We all know
he
that.
better toughen up, kid. This is his first year here in Houston. Look, there are going to be many more tough road games ahead. The next slate right here, I'm looking at it, Adam. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 out of the next 8 games are on the road, and against some decent competition. So he better pick it up.
Let me ask Maurice. Maurice, give us your first half assessment on the job that Mikal has done, and do you feel like this is maybe something that he's brought upon himself with the expectations?
Well, I mean, look what he's got to work with. I can't fault him too much because we don't have a bona fide star. Definitely Kyle Lowry is coming to his own, but it's kind of a ragtag bunch right now. We need a bona fide star. I think, like you said, if we'd have got Paul Gasol, that would have been a nice little jolt. Maybe somebody that Mikal could have worked with. Because somebody like Paul Gasol, he could use Kevin McHale's grit and savvy down low.
Yeah. Well, hey, what about these Clippers? Not only they're 5-5, they're here in H-Town right now, and they're in a battle with the Rockets. Seems like Mikhail's dramatics the other night at the press conference, might have worked with these guys because they've got some beasts on the board, and that's kind of what burned the Rockets against the Jazz and then the Nuggets the other night. But this Clippers team is 5-5 in their last 10, but they're still holding on to the number 3 spot. Do you think they kind of come back down to earth as we expect the Clippers to do?
Well, I think they're going to settle in that number 4, maybe 5 spot, but I think 4 spot. They've really made a huge jump getting Chris Paul and some of the other ancillary pieces. I think the Kenyon Martin pickup was really underrated. He brings a lot of toughness and grit to that team because they're very flashy and so forth. I think he's going to bring a lot of grit to that team. They'll go far. I can't see Western Conference Finals, but they'll get close.
Is this a team that we could probably see in the Western Conference Finals in the next couple of years?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Chris Paul just changed the whole outlook of that team. He's definitely an MVP consideration for me.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a league of real men that wore helmets and shoulder pads to line up on the battlefields and take out their opponents in a game of gladiators. Those who dared to join the league would be crowned and given rings worthy of kings for being the last of the rebellion standing. With squadrons of warriors comes personalities fit for outlying systems similar to the seediest bars of most Philly, or insane bloodthirsty mutants like those of Raider Nation. All who would dismember or destroy anything standing in their way of victory, even strike a bounty with Boba Fett to put them in carbonite once and for all. And now basically the movie's called Spaceballs because Roger Goodell is making a parody of what we know as the NFL. Yes, the New Orleans Saints were cited in a 50,000-page report to have run a bounty system over the last 3 years prior to Greg Williams leaving for the St. Louis Rams this year. This included their Super Bowl championship season, in which one of the games in question was against Brett Favre and the Vikings, in which it looked like they were pretty much going out to kill the old man. And I got to ask you, Andrew, first of all, what are your thoughts on bounties?
I think that they happen a lot more than we realize, but I don't think that they happen to injure someone else. I think they happen like, hey, here's $10,000. I'm like, let's say I'm Jonathan Vilma, who's in question in this and being investigated. He might throw out $10,000, say, hey, here's for the first turnover that someone gets. Here's for the first touchdown someone gets. Here's for the first sack someone gets. Something like that.
It's like pelts on a wall.
Sure. I don't know that it's being taken to the I didn't know. I guess that it was being taken to the degree of, hey, it's the first guy that knocks someone out, or the first guy that can get far out of the game. Well, I think it's being taken to a way too far degree, and I'm looking forward to finding out what happens or their discipline is.
Gons, what are your thoughts on bounties on NFL players? You know, like if you're getting yourself pumped up before a game and you've got $1,000 for the first guy that can put Favre on the ground, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I would say I don't see that I would need the extra motivation if it's, you know, 10,000, 5,000 here and there, because you're already paying me to do that anyways. Like, basically, there was an interview with Antonio Pierce, who was playing. He played under Williams, and his main motto was, you know, I'm already playing hard for it. It doesn't give me any extra motivation to do that. Some players, maybe. It depends. But when we do our scouting and everything, we already know if they're injured and their ankle's messed up or their shoulder's messed up. I mean, that's part of the game. You're going to try to weaken them.
Unless if you're playing the Patriots, because their medical report is just like everyone hurt with everything.
Right, exactly. But his main thing was, you know, if he's hurt, of course you're going to try to hurt him, so to speak. But that's part of the game. You're trying to weaken them. They're not trying to. He's not trying to intentionally go and, you know, make him lose his NFL career. It's just part of the game. It's a violent sport.
So my follow-up question is, has it become a big story because it's been made so public over the weekend?
Yes.
I think it's a big story because the details have come out that it's not so much what they did, it's the process of how it happened.
Yeah.
It's that the NFL basically found out what was going on, told them, stop it. They told the owner, stop it, the GM and the head coach and everyone and the defensive coordinator. Everyone up the whole chain knew what was going on, and they were told to stop it, and they didn't. It's what happens when you disobey what the commissioner is telling you, and to stop it, that's going to get them in trouble. And now I want to get to this after we're done with this topic, Adam, is what we think the punishment is going to be and what it should be.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, because my thing was like, wow, they've been saying it's going on for such a long time. I'm like, I wonder what ended up being the smoking gun to all of a sudden for that happening. I'm like, maybe he pissed a player off, or someone was just like, you know what, I'm going to get you back. Watch. Because now with that media, it's once something spills out, it's
wildfire.
It's Twitter blast.
It's wildfire.
It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, players from all generations and many different teams, including Favre himself, have come out over the weekend on Twitter or on TV or the radio to say that this has gone on in the NFL for years. I mean, I remember at Westbury High School myself, our defensive team and they were all city. I mean, we had a sick defense. We played in the playoffs in the Dome, and I remember they had a pelt system, you know, where they wanted to get those pelts on the wall, where they were rewarded by our coach, not with tens of thousands of dollars, but certain rewards.
Well, college does it with, the little, stickers on the helmets,
Absolutely.
Sort of like that.
Absolutely, but if you knocked a guy out of the game, if you knocked the quarterback down, if you got an interception, there was rewards at practice the next week that you would benefit from. So it's not like it just happens in the NFL. It happens in college. It happens in high school. It probably happens all the way down to Pee Wee. But it's just interesting that it's blown up all of a sudden this weekend. What do you think was that straw that broke the camel's back?
I have no idea what it was, but it seems like there probably was someone that was out to get them, because that's sort of a story. And here's the other thing: is a story like that, it's going to get leaked eventually. Yeah. Too many people know to keep it under wraps for forever. That's my point is, it doesn't matter where the leak came from. It was going to happen eventually.
All right, well, let's move on to a team that really shook it up in the offseason, brought in a new manager with all the drama that comes with them, and that's the Florida Marlins and Miami Marlins and their brand new stadium and brand new uniforms and brand new team.
Yeah, they're losing Chris Volstad to the Cubs and Javier Vasquez to retirement. I think the Javier Vasquez thing isn't being made enough of. He was a very, very good pitcher at the end of the season. It's kind of gotten overshadowed because when he was with the Yankees, he was so terrible. And then when he went back to the Marlins, the NL, he just never sort of figured it out. But he did at the end of the season. People just don't realize it. They're also bringing Heath Bell from the Padres, Jose Reyes, which is a huge signing from the Mets, Mark Burley from the White Sox, Carlos Zambrano from the Cubs, and Ozzie Guillen from the White Sox. So that's a whole sort of culture shift from where they were before to where they are now. Injuries, Josh Johnson, his shoulder is still giving him problems. He was part of why they had so little success last year. Some of the storylines from last year were Logan Morrison and his whole Twitter debacle. He got himself suspended and basically shipped down to the minor leagues for a while. Mike Stanton, he's still an offensive beast. And one of the other storylines was Juan Carlos Oviedo, who many people might not know him because he's really Leo Nunez, or he is the pitcher formerly known as Leo Nunez.
Cousin to Fausto Carmona.
Yeah. In 2012, I'm looking forward to the new ballpark. Hanley Ramirez at third base. How's that going to work out? Ozzie Guillen, that guy is pretty much tailor-made for Miami, but we'll have to see how that works out. Are they going to be contenders? Because they have the potential to sort of maybe get over the hump, where they were in the past. And prospects, they have Matt Dominguez, who's sort of a defensive third baseman, and Christian Yelich, who might be a little bit of ways.
So Ozzy's son will be all up on South Beach manning the Twitter.
I can't even wait till... Ozzy is the only manager or player I follow at all on Twitter, and I follow him for a reason.
Right.
It's because he speaks broken English, and he's funny.
You know the thing with the thing, you know what I mean?
I think we got to start right at the top of the list, Andrew, and that is Duke versus North Carolina, as North Carolina wraps up the ACC title.
That was a great game. It was fun to watch from the very beginning, but after about 10 minutes of that, it was pretty much over. I mean, it was fun to watch and see because that North Carolina team, we haven't really seen them hit on all cylinders like that against good competition. I mean, you think about it, coming into the season, they were the number 1 ranked team, above Kentucky, above Syracuse, above everyone else. That was who everyone thought was the number 1 team this season, and for a reason. And we finally got to see part of why last night.
Yes, and that was the same team that really played 3/4 of a game against Duke.
Well, they played, I would say, 38 minutes of a game. Yeah, I mean, up into that last 2 minutes, and they got away from them there. But last night, it was just total domination. They shut down Austin Rivers. They held him to, I'm looking at it right now, to 15 points. And the biggest thing was the three-point shooting. Three-point shooting, they only were able to make 6 three-pointers at him for Duke. And that's a team that they thrive on the three-pointer.
Live by the three?
They did. They died by it.
Yep.
They totally died by it. The other thing was the rebounding. The rebounding margin was so huge. 42 to 22. And that's double. That's damn near double. So, it was just really impressive to see North Carolina get out there and really handle the business from start to finish. Duke made a little run there at the end, but they weren't able to really make it into anything serious.
Right, so what does that mean for North Carolina? Does that lock up a number 1 seed? Because just before that game, they had Duke penciled in as a number 1 seed.
I don't think it means they're the number 1 seed. I think it still means that...
No, a number 1 seed.
No, I don't think they're a number 1 seed. I still think that it means that whichever Duke or North Carolina, if one of them can win the ACC tournament, I think that team will be get a number 1 seed. Because North Carolina, you still have to figure that right now, my number 1s are clearly number 1's Kentucky, number 2 is Syracuse. After that, you have... it's really up for grabs after that. I would have said Michigan State up until this afternoon. They lost to Ohio State at home today.
And that basically caused a 3-way tie for the conference.
Yeah, Ohio State, and Michigan. I would have said them beforehand. I think Kansas has a pretty decent hold on a number 1 seed right now, considering they won the regular season tournament and their title.
How many times?
8th year in a row from Bill Self. 8th year in a row. And they're probably going to win the Big 12 conference tournament. I mean, they might not. They might lose to Missouri or a Baylor. I don't think they'll lose to Baylor, but they could lose to Missouri somewhere along the way, or get tripped up by a hot Iowa State team, or maybe even Texas. I have no idea.
Sure.
But I think that North Carolina or Duke, the winner, if one of those can win the ACC tournament, will probably win the number 1 seed. The other thing you have to factor in is that that North Carolina coaching staff, Roy Williams, he has never really put a lot of emphasis on the ACC tournament. They've kind of just been like, you know what, whatever, we'd rather come in healthy and rested, getting ready for the tournament, whereas Coach K, he wants to win that. Like, he wants to go in hot. Sure. That is his deal. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
In Lob City, right here on Sports Rap Live. So make sure you guys check us out every Thursday and Sunday from 8 to 10 p.m. right here on Sports Rap Live. We'll see you guys on Thursday. That's a wrap.